Welcome back to another episode of Romance Unleashed. Today we are in Ohio and we have Terreece Clarke in the Airbnb with us. Hi, Terreece.
Hey.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Tell us all about you. Everything. Deepest, darkest secrets.
I don't have any. I buried those suckers. So yeah, no, they don't exist anymore. I am Terreece M. Clarke. I am a journalist and an author. And I write Black women who experience extraordinary love. And I've been doing it for about 2 years now. I've been a journalist since 99, like for forever. And kind of stumbled into a story that wouldn't let me go and decided, let's see where this goes. And I just released book 6. Well, book 4 in the series, but book 6 that have been published.
Wow. So what was the extraordinary love that couldn't let you go?
So it was my first book, Heartbeat.
Okay.
And it was just this mountain man, green eyes, burly, basically Jason Momoa.
Okay.
And Maya, who's a Black architect, and she has everything going for her, down to her color-coordinated closet, and then someone tries to kill her. And so she realizes that she's no match for the person that's after her, but she does have the means to disappear, so she does. Into a small mountain town in Colorado. Nobody will know her. And she has 3 vows, new name, new name, new location, no men. But of course, she runs into this green-eyed detective who they butt heads from the beginning, but they start to realize that they're the only ones that can count on each other. And we go from there. So
Lovely. Why Colorado?
Because it's gorgeous. Oh my gosh. Plus, you think about like the mountains and rough men, and they're big, and you got all the sky, and you can put horses in there. So I just love it. I love this. I love the whole state.
I love big man.
Girl, listen, I'm a big girl. You need to be a big man.
Thank you. What has been the biggest change from journalism to writing stories?
It feels more exposed. Journalism, I'm taking facts and figures and quotes, and I'm still telling a story, but there are very stringent rules around it. And I'm giving you the facts. Like, you can't argue the facts.
Right.
And it's not really me. I mean, it is me writing it, but I'm just making it easier for the audience to understand. And most of the time people don't check bylines and that sort of thing. But when it comes to, writing novels, it's you. This is what's come out of your head. And it feels very kind of raw, you know what I mean? So you're inside of my head, and I'm writing these, saucy scenes, and I'm putting that out there.
Yeah.
And my name is all the way across the book.
Right.
So it's definitely, and then you're the product.
Right.
So in journalism, you're not the story. That's one of the first rules. It's not about you.
Right.
Remove yourself. But this is all me. So yeah, for somebody who's in the back, just taking notes and observing, is now you have to be out here I am. I like it from the back,
Same.
So I think that's the most different thing. It's still kind of a bit of an adjustment.
Right.
Yeah.
And you are married.
I am.
And how has writing affected your relationship in a good way? And how was it telling your family that you were going to start publishing romance? What was that like?
I'm always the one who's going to do whatever she's going to do. So I don't think it was a surprise. I mean, I write. So they're just oh, what are you writing now?
Yeah.
With my husband, we've been married. It'll be 24 years in September.
Wow.
I know. I was young. I was 12. No. I was 23.
You shared something on Facebook the other day of something he sent you, I think. It was a text message he sent you or something.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I love it.
He keeps me on task. I was in Chicago for a book event, and he was telling me how hot I looked. I was like, "Thank you." And that literally was hot. I was melting. It was 100 degrees, and I was in leather pants. It was ridiculous. And then he was reminding me to like charge my phone and drink water. So, excuse me, but he. Initially, the only thing that he had an issue with was like me putting my real name on it, because he's not really in the romance space. I mean, he is now. Like, I give him stuff to read, like, this is awesome, read this. But he was like, you've written really, it's spicy. I'm like, babe, I'm like a 3 out of 5. It's like, you have no idea. Let me introduce you to like the Omegaverse. Let me show you like what's really spicy.
Right.
He was like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. But I was like, listen, I've done the work. I'm putting my name on it. So we just have to figure it out. The only thing I was concerned about were like my kids, because they're teenagers, and I got a 20-year-old now. School and that sort of thing. Right. But everybody, the girls were fine. They just think it's funny. And my son was like, I'm like, he goes to all boys school. So I'm like, how guys can be. Right. And he was like, I don't care. I was like, oh, okay. Well, as long as you're fine with it. I mean, it's schools have had me come out to speak because I did a children's book. Okay. So I'm always like, okay.
They're the same name?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm like, okay, should parents Google me? Like, oh, you have a speaker? Oh, I'm like, I'm not speaking on that. I'm talking about, publishing and writing and children's book. But this is out there, just FYI. And everybody's been fine with it. So it really hasn't been too much of a thing. It's just fun. I have an aunt who, she's my uncle's wife. So she's aunt by marriage. And I was in Toledo for my mom's, she had a little knee surgery. And he's telling me about, he buys the books and then she reads them. And I'm like, that's cool. Thank you for the support. And she was like, do you think she knows anything about what she writes? And I'm like, I've been married 20-some years. I got 3 kids. I think I might know. Right. So I'm know like, a thing or two. Right. So I'm cracking up. I call Dave. He falls out laughing. He goes back, tells her that. And she's like, yeah, she just has such an imagination. I was like, let's leave it there. Yeah. Don't even think any further than that. It's just imaginations. Yes. So it's overall it's been cool. I mean, everybody's been if they have had any issues, they haven't told me. So
better that way.
Yeah. And if they do, fuck them.
What has been your your biggest surprise after publishing?
Biggest surprise?
Yeah.
How nervous I get. I never got nervous with my articles.
Okay.
Only when it was something like mildly controversial. During the George Floyd protest, they asked me to write like an op-ed piece. And I was worried about pushback, not because of what my views are, because I mean, that's open on Facebook for everything. Right. But because here, we had a pretty like proactive, she was like head of medicine or something for Ohio. I forget exactly what she was. But she lived a few blocks away. And there were protesters and folks with guns, and because it was also during COVID, outside of her house. And so with us being so close, she had Ohio Highway Patrol. Right. So if you can't get to her, I'm worried about, my family.
Right, absolutely.
So that was the only thing that I was ever worried about. But, I forgot the question. The surprise.
What has been the most surprising thing about publishing? How nervous you got?
Right. I got nervous for that. But for publishing each book, I get so like knots in my tummy, like ready to just nervous. And I don't know why. Like it's like, I guess, again, it's still so much a part of me. Right. Yeah. And the book community can be kind of like, So, a misplaced comma and like you get a 0 star or, 1 star and they, like trash you in the discussions and stuff. So I'm used to criticism.
Sure.
Again, from journalism. So like bad reviews don't bother me. But I think each time is putting that little piece of you out there. And you want it to do well. And all of that. But I think it's just, again, that vulnerability and kind of letting people in and putting that art out there, which,
Right. It's got to be subject to criticism.
Yes.
And you have to, one way or another, you always have to be ready for it.
Right. And you learn from it.
And are you ever ready to, like...
No. Because just when you think you've heard everything.
Right.
And something comes out of left field and you're like, ooh, okay. I think... Probably, besides that, how nervous I get and accusations that my characters and even myself aren't real Black people. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So that like Maya is unrealistic because she speaks multiple languages and she's an architect and a member of Mensa. And I'm like, I know women like this all like on a regular basis. This is not.
Right.
So same thing with Shayla. She's old money billionaire. And it's like, well, Black people don't have money like that. And I'm like, you are not around the right folks.
Right.
Like these societies, these people, they exist. And it's not far-fetched. It's not a lot of Black women architects. I want to say last time I checked, it was like maybe less than 100, but they exist.
Yeah.
And then as far as me not being Black, it's like, it's giving blackface. I'm like, no, it's really a blackface. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay.
Also, like, I think, like you said, right, there's 100 maybe Black architects, women architects. Like, also, how beautiful would it be for someone who is just starting their studies in that and being able to see themselves reflected back on the page. Like that's the kind of media that we've been lacking for so long.
Exactly.
Like being able to see yourself in these jobs and these roles that are not just
that's why I didn't think about
the blue collar jobs. Like, which there's nothing wrong with any of them, right? But they're in white media, which is
you get everything, right?
Right. And so why can't
excuse me.
Black and brown people get everything too? Sure, there's only 100, but we could make 100 more if we continue to see ourselves in stories because it feels attainable and feasible.
Exactly. And sometimes you have to see it to even know that it's an option.
Right.
And I'm living proof of that because when I grew up in blue collar town, Toledo, Ohio, always advised to either become a nurse or work for the jail because people will always be sick. People are always going to go to jail. Right? So job security. And I have a terrible bedside manner. And I just, I like being outside, so jail doesn't kind of work out for me. And that's just not what I wanted to do. But I never thought that the stories that I created, the plays that I wrote, that for some reason the nuns in Catholic school let me put on. There's a lot of drama, a lot of kidnapping, and they just kind of encouraged that. I think it was just so I would stop talking and be focused on something. But when you think about, American novelists, I never saw any Black women. So it was Black people in general. Like you would have James Baldwin and Alice Walker. And that was it. So it just didn't feel like when you're being told job security is number one, right. That kind of creative endeavor.
Right. There's no room for it.
That is not a guarantee. Right. It just was not an option, and so, or at least I didn't think it was. And it took me really going into journalism to kind of see, okay, there's more out there, but I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And even when the idea for Heartbeat came, I was like, what am I? I'm a journalist, I'm about the facts. Let's do it, get it done. Still wasn't quite sure that I fit in that space to the point where I finished Heartbeat in like 2017, but I didn't publish it until 2022 because it just kind of kept, there was a holding yourself back, and hesitancy. Like, can I be in this space?
Right.
Because when I gotten back into reading romance, but it was all white protagonists and that sort of thing, and then when you did see a sister, they always talked about how big her ass was. She was the sidekick. She was the one that spoke the truth about it and gathered everyone together or whatever. Right. And so it still just felt like, and I remember thinking, gee, I wish, she was portrayed a little less,
stereotypical.
Yes. And had more to her.
More substance.
Absolutely. And then like everyone in the girlfriend group would get a story, but she wouldn't.
Right.
And if it was still very like not of my community. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a different flavor to it when it's written by someone of that community or who has done like his research and really dug into it. And so it took a while to say, okay, I could be in this space. And then I just started discovering like there's been, from like Beverly Jenkins and just the list goes on. And I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
So yeah, we need to see these examples.
Yeah.
And anybody that says anything different, they are very limited in what their thoughts are.
Yeah.
And they need more exposure. So they need to keep reading my shit.
You mentioned you went to Catholic school.
I did.
How has that kind of like been an intersection to you now writing steamy romance? Like, was there things you had to like unpack and unlearn?
So yeah, but oddly enough, not necessarily from Catholic school. So I was in Catholic school from second grade all through high school. And in high school, I went to all girls school, and they were pretty decently progressive about sexual health and sexuality. Okay. It was still, heteronormative focused.
Of course.
But it wasn't, if you had questions, you could ask them. Elementary school, I mean, you know how they do in elementary school. They separate the boys, the girls, and you get a video. I think it might have been a whole film on reel at that point. So, not a whole lot of anything. But unpacking came just from being a young Black girl. And from the time you are put on this earth until basically you get married, it's good girls don't do this, that, and the other. And the onus on protecting yourself or onus on not being exploited is on you. What you wear, how you behave around men. And if you are
because the men just can't help themselves.
They can't. I mean, literally, my granny my granny, to her credit, they were open about sex, and if you had questions and they knew, the answer, they would. It wasn't like something you couldn't speak about, but it was still very kind of conservative and owing to her time. Excusing men. Literally told me that thing, don't know you're 12.
So
and that just never made even then at 12 I was just like,
what?
So I wasn't allowed to wear like biker shorts, which was like the thing at the time. Right. When men would come to the house, I was a talkative little kid. And so, when you got little chatterbacks, it's funny. And so they would be entertained, and then I would get in trouble for smiling all in somebody's face. I'm having a conversation.
Right.
So it was, you were responsible for things that you didn't know you were responsible for until afterwards. And then the parameters of what made a fast girl, quote unquote fast girl, was always so arbitrary. But once you were labeled that, you lost the protection, of your community.
Right.
So whatever
because
happens,
it's your fault.
Yeah. So whatever happens, that's on you because you fast. And literally could be anything. Neighborhood woman labeled me fast because I was sitting on the porch. Just sitting on the porch.
Right.
I remember one of the pastors drove past and I had on red lipstick. And he immediately called my granny to tell her that I was outside with red lipstick on. Found out later a lot of dirt about bro.
Yeah.
Why you worried about me?
Right.
But yeah, it was, if the neighborhood lady had a problem with your mom or your family or whatever, that's the way to get back at them, by labeling you. So you go 18, 20, 23. I got married at 23, all these years of what a good girl is, what a good girl does. And so you try to adhere to that, right? And then you get married or you get into a serious relationship, whatever. And now you're supposed to
bust it wide open.
Bust it wide open.
Like,
keep them satisfied.
Right.
Keep them drained. That's how you keep them.
Right.
And, and you're like, but I was told for decades.
Right.
You don't do that. Well, if you don't do it, somebody else will. Okay, well, who? Because I thought we were supposed to.
Right. I thought
And so romance, getting back into it, helped me remove those. Because it was also not only cultural, good girls, but black girls don't do that. That's for white girls. White girls do those things. You know what I mean? That was the separation. And, we can trace where all that comes from. And, it came originally from a area of protection because there was no protection, for black girls and women of color from the majority. But we still carry that through today.
Yeah.
And, but I contribute, and so does Dave, romance for taking things to the next level and giving me permission. You know what I mean? That sounds good.
Right.
I think I might like that. Check this out. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And of course, he's like, yeah, this is great. What more books do you want? Right. But it was, that evolution of mindset that it's okay.
Yeah.
Not only is it okay, it's wonderful. We've got visitors.
Pause. Everything's your fault. Yeah.
Unpacking.
Well, you know what? So I, there's this only in Dade Instagram page or whatever. They just share local things that are happening or whatever in Dade County. And one of them was this lady who was this man was talking to my daughter, my young daughter. She was probably 8. And then started following us. And then when I left the shopping center, he was waiting at the door for us. So I had to get someone from the shopping center to escort us to the car and all of this. And the first comment on that thread was, what was your daughter wearing?
At 8. At 8.
She could be fucking butt naked. Why the fuck are you looking at a child? Why are you following an 8-year-old around the fucking supermarket?
Exactly.
And why, obviously people ate this man up in the comments on asking that, but
his browser history needs to be checked.
Right. And you know what? That's exactly what people did. People started tagging Miami PD and they're you really need to check this guy. Because for you to say something
that's the first thought that came to your head.
In the wild internet.
I was gonna say, you thought it was okay.
And you thought it was okay.
Yeah.
Wild. And I mean, it goes back to the point of she's a child.
She's a child.
I don't give a shit what she's wearing.
No matter what. No matter what. No matter if she smiled at him. No matter if she had the conversation.
Right.
She is a child.
Right. And
the onus is on the adult.
What is our fascination with sexualizing everything, right?
Literally everything. I think it's because we spend also so much time suppressing so much. that it pops up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can only repress and suppress so much before it's going to come out someplace else.
Right.
And so, you know, if you can create an environment that excuses those pop-ups,
Right.
then you can get away with it. You know what I mean? You can justify
Right.
it. You can, there's, you know, reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
And you can make the environment such that nobody will come forward. Nobody's going to tell, you know, because
Yeah.
the repercussions are not on the perpetrator.
Right.
It's on the victim.
Yeah.
You have to decide, you know, if I say something, what all is going to be blown up? How badly is my life?
Right.
Which is already jacked now.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Right.
How far is it going to go, and how far is it going to spin out? How long is it going to follow me?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it behooves predators to keep an environment like this. It behooves them to put those comments,
Right.
what was she wearing at 8 years old?
It's wild.
So that other people will stop and go, oh my God, this happened to me. But the first thing they're going to ask is, what was I wearing?
Right.
Why was
Right.
I outside at
Right.
midnight?
Right.
Why was I at a bar?
Yeah.
Why was I sitting in my car? Literally, someone posted, ladies, you know, I know you like to sit in your car when you get to your destination, but you can't do that because look at what happened to this woman. I can't sit in my car. She was in her own driveway. That is like my favorite thing to do. Sometimes I will leave my house and my children and go sit in the car. Like, I'm just gonna sit here for a little bit. It's, you know, I don't know, something about it. It's soothing,
I agree. Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
You arrive back and you just sit and chill for a minute, look through your phone, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to sit in my car.
Yeah.
Because if something happens, if someone decides to do something they have no business doing, by law, by social contract, whatever, it's still my fault because I was in my car sitting, not paying attention.
You know, I see this a lot with like being back in like the dating space and the shit that men just don't have to worry about.
Not
like,
at all.
Like at all. Like I have like the amount of like men who have been like, oh well, I can just come over, you can come over, and I'm like, I don't know you. Like,
exactly.
Why would I? And they're like, oh, but like I'm not a creep. But how? Great.
How am I supposed to know that?
That's what the creep said. Like
no one says, you know.
Like
come on over, I'm a rapist.
Right. Like what the fuck? And like I've had to have multiple conversations with some people of like, your disregard for my safety is a turnoff. Like, because I get maybe asking the question innocently once, like, oh, why don't you come over? I'll cook for you. To you, that feels totally normal.
Exactly.
To me, absolutely the fuck not.
That is an invitation to disappear.
Yes. Like, that sounds like the first 48 for me. Like, we're not, no, thank you. But we can meet somewhere else a couple of times and then decide if that's safe or not for me, right? But a constant invitation in that sense tells me you really have never thought about what women have to think about to keep ourselves safe.
Exactly. And then when you express it, you'll get, oh, well, it's not that bad. Oh, I think you're just being a little...
Like you're being dramatic.
You're being dramatic.
Or like, oh, but that's not who I am. I have no fucking idea because I don't know you from Pepito. So
at all. Yeah. I mean, and that's conversations I have to have with my daughter, you know? And you know, in the college space, you know, you hang out in other people's dorms and that sort of thing. But like, it's, you know, you have to prepare your kids, and it sucks. And you have to give them, like, you know, just the anxiety of constantly being on edge, unaware. And the other half of the population is just bopping around.
Right.
And then, you know, they'll go, oh, well, if you get rid of all men, who's going to protect you? Protect you from what?
From you.
Like, the bears are not coming. There are women I know that can kill spiders. You know? I am worried about you. And the thing is, you are worried about other men too.
Right.
You're not not worried about a woman coming up and carjacking you.
Yeah.
But my concern and my reticence to it's a problem. I'm being over dramatic. Right. I think it's it's the overall downplaying of our experiences, our voice, our existence. And I think that's why we get so much pushback about romance and so much, if not even pushback, but like just flat out disrespect and dismissal.
Yeah.
Like you can enjoy your little mystery because romance pays the bills.
Yeah.
It keeps the lights on.
Right. Like your mystery is getting published because romance is fucking carrying it
because
on his motherfucking
an alien
back.
with two dicks just
okay. Just fucking railed the main character, and that's how you're getting your little
20,000 women was like, yes, I'm getting that one.
Exactly.
That's why you can get your little shoot 'em up bang bangs.
Right.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You're welcome. So yeah.
I think it's very telling. I was talking to another author about this a couple of days ago, but I think it's very telling when you're talking to a man and you tell them like what you read, or what you write, or what you sell, and they're like, "Oh, the sex books," and I'm like, "No, actually, some of mine don't have any sex at all. Actually, that I sell." But it's also like the over sexualization of like, just because I sell vibrators with books does not mean that it's an open invitation for you to have access to me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you realize this, but I do have all of these vibrators. I can probably do it better than you. So it is not like if you're not
need you.
If you're not going in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And I remember when I first started the Steambox, when I started the Steambox, I was still happily married. Yeah. And like the amount of messages I received from men who I was either in the military with, who knew I was married, who knew my husband at the time, were like crazy. And I'm like, this, just because I'm selling vibrators is not an invitation for you to now low-key sexually harass me because I sell vibrators.
That
so it must be
wild.
Cool.
That is wild. Yeah. That is wild.
Yeah. And the same thing, I told the story already, but the same thing happened when I was with pole. I was posting my little like rotisserie chicken videos of me spinning on the pole. Yeah. And like I had a man who I used to like have relations with in college just send me like a video of him masturbating. And I'm like, my guy, first of all, I haven't fucked you in 10 years. 1, 2, at least ask me how my fucking day is going. 3,
just open up.
Oh 3,
my God.
I literally look like a rotisserie chicken, like a little glazed ham rotating on this pole.
Who doesn't like ham though, babe?
I mean, fair.
There's a reason why the Costco chicken is a staple.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Everybody like them yams, babe.
Okay, look, my guy clearly loved a little rotisserie chicken, spinning on the pole,
right?
But really, at that point, I could have sent you a rotisserie.
It's not a compliment. It's not a compliment.
Like, what is wrong with y'all?
Yeah. They just here it is. Okay.
Like, it's not an open invitation for you.
Was that? It's like it was British or Britain, I think, and they were like, cup of tea, and I offer you a cup of tea. Just because I said yes to a cup of tea today doesn't mean I want a cup of tea tomorrow.
Oh, I remember.
Remember that?
Like, it was like a sexual harassment thing.
Yeah, it was like consent. Yeah. So even though I've had tea with you 10 years ago, does not mean I want your tea bags.
Your tea again. If I didn't ask for your fucking tea, why are you giving me your tea?
I don't even like that kind of tea anymore.
I don't like that kind of tea anymore. I was in my hood phase back then. Like, my guy.
Yeah. And here he comes.
I'm a soft girl now. Like, please.
You just throwing it on the table.
Yeah.
Or pink. It might not be a thug. It might just be a pink.
I was like.
Yeah.
Pikachu face.
It's weird. It's so weird. It's like they do things that they would never do in another situation with other people.
Right.
You know, you would never go up to a man and say, you make pornos, you sell porn out of your car, here's my penis.
Right.
You know what I mean? Wiggling it around. So why do you think that's okay to do to women? You would never do that. You would never go up to a guy who's like a chef or something and be like, and just hand them some chicken and just be like, hook that up.
Right.
That would be weird.
Right.
Your profession is not, like you said, permission.
Right.
It's weird. It's weird. I don't know. They need help. But luckily we have romance to tell us how to speak.
Yeah. They definitely should read more romance though.
Fam, they have no idea. They have no idea.
For readers who are new to you, what's the best place for them to start?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't have an extensive back catalog just yet. I'm working there. The start of the series is Heartbeat. But people might get a little shied off by like the 500 plus pages. So a lot of people will start at Chaser. Okay. Because it has, you know, the cowboy and that sort of thing. But then they circle back around to Heartbeat. Okay. So those two you can read interchangeably. Okay. I like to start at the beginning and work my way through.
Same.
So, yeah.
What are you currently working on?
So I just finished Fingertips, which was awesome and a disaster to write. I think each book, as it comes out and it does well, you're like, yay! Shit, I have to
do another one.
I have to do another one, and you know, like at least meet the bar, right? Because you never want to just throw one out and they're like, yeah, that sucked. Go back. You know, so in your brain, it's the pressure that I put on myself. No one else does. And then my computer crashed and took everything with it. So, excuse me. So that was a nightmare. But I just finished and it's doing great. The next one is Breath, and in the series. And then I'm working on, I think we did tell about it. I am working on a one-off in a cowboy series with another group of authors. It's my first collab like that.
So it's going to be not an anthology. You'll have your own book, but there's going to be a series and multiple authors are going to be writing each book. That's a lot of fun.
I know. And I'm not responsible for the whole series.
I love that. Who else is in the series?
Let's see. Ariel Marie, Nico Yang Zen, Dare McCoy, Amadi J. Where am I at? And a couple more that I'm forgetting. But it's the Silver Creek series. They just announced it this week, actually. Nice. And so that book comes out in October. Okay. And I'm super excited. It's my first man chest cover book.
That's lovely.
It was just so wild. And I showed the kids and they just they fell out. They were on the floor. It was and so the reveal or the tease of all the covers. Excuse me.
Nipples.
And my daughter was like, it's just man titties. All the way across. And my other daughter walks through, she's like, it's mitties. I'm like, what? Mitties. They keep me up on the thing. I was like, is that what we're doing now? That's what we're calling them, the mitties.
So are they all coming out at the same time?
They are coming out, I want to say every 2 weeks or so. Okay. So yeah, it's fun. And I don't know. It is short. We have a range either between 20,000 to 40,000 words. So my things usually clock in 90 to 100. Heartbeat's 150. I mean, I was just writing literally everything. So this is fun. It's fun. It's cool. Like I said, it's my first man chest. And I don't have to worry about continuity. So with the Courageous Love series, they all interact.
Right. So you have to kind of keep track of the world. Yeah, I have already told people.
Exactly. Right. And what names I've given folks. Yeah. I've had to go back and oh shit, no, I already used that. Right. So I had to create a whole timeline and locations. Okay, where was this person when and that sort of thing to kind of keep the consistency throughout the book. And then with Heartbeat, Maya is pregnant when the book starts. So I have to have everything happen, but keep on track of where she is in her pregnancy. Because sure enough, you know, somebody's going to be like, okay, this child been pregnant for 12 months. What's happening? Excuse me. I'm so sorry. I hate allergy season. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And if I can, and I have time, one more Christmas book. So I like Christmas books. Yeah. They're, you know, I love Hallmark.
They're fun.
They're very fun.
Yeah. I feel like they really put you like in the season too.
They do. And again, you know, with the other ones, I have so much angst and drama and all of that in there. And Christmas stories are like, they're just fun. You know, my Christmas last one is a rom-com, which is awesome. So I just got to be silly and I didn't have to worry about killing people. And
you know what? Like my dog likes to pull out stuff from the steam box room. Like the anal beads are her shit. And like there's like, I think we have now like 4 product boxes that are just like tore up. And she's just, and I'm like, you know what? They're yours now. Like, what do you want me to do with them? And she'll just like fling them around all at the house. And I had a guy friend like, what the fuck do you have going on over there? And I was like, you know what? Like, we're just like a sexually healthy household. And,
we are not going to dog shame.
We're not going to dog shame. She likes what she likes. And then she started getting my boy dog to like play tug of war. So now they're playing like tug of war with the anal beads. And honestly, I mean, someone should send the anal to the company because they're very sturdy. I mean, I think like 10 out of 10 for their durability, Rottweiler proof, like Kong toys could never. And you know, like shout out to the anal beads.
Honestly, you should really use that like as an advertisement. Yeah. Like in case you're worried that you're not going to get quality product from us. Here are my Rottweilers. Yeah. Who are big. They're big babies. They're big babies. Yeah. They're big. They're not playing. Yeah. Can't wait to tell Dave that.
Okay, so for folks who are just starting to read romance or maybe are starting to like discover new things about like what they like, what they don't like, and just like their sexuality as a whole, what's like parting words of advice you could give them?
Be open.
Okay.
Be expressive. And if you're not comfortable yet expressing exactly what it is you want, make it a thing to read together. You know, I mean, it's an easy way to introduce into the conversation. But also like take your time. Like you may read something that sounds like, oh yeah, we can do it. And then you get into a sitch, you know, and it's uncomfortable or it's embarrassing or it's painful or anything like that. Just realize that what we write doesn't always translate into real life. Right. So do your research beyond that.
And everything's not for everyone. So like just because in the book this position might have been great for the characters, it doesn't mean that like for you it might work.
Exactly. Like some positions, as you know, between the girls, it's gonna choke me out. I'm not having fun. Right. When you choke me out the way that I like, not just by death by titty. So yeah. Fair. So but it's okay. Yeah. You know, if something doesn't work, it's not a failure. Yeah. It's just, that's not your thing. It's totally okay. Right. Just keep trying stuff. Yeah. You know, keep having fun. Keep communication open. And as far as reading, you know me, read diversely. Read about people who are not like you. Read about people who are in places that you've never been. Because, I mean, reading is that world, right? Yeah. It opens up your world. It opens up your ability to hold empathy for other humans. And that translates into romance too. And I know a lot of people will say, well, I don't know either. I don't know where to start. There are a ton of creators out there and Google is your friend. And I suggest if you're looking for a specific whatever ethnicity or
identity.
Thank you. Excuse me. Go to creators of that identity and their suggestions.
Yeah, because they're literally doing the work for free.
They're
literally like they're putting out like
excuse me,
list after list, like dancing their little asses
and
off.
don't go into their comments saying, "Can you recommend?"
Right.
Go through their stuff because they've probably already covered it like 1,000 times.
Right.
But yes, go to that specific community.
Yeah.
Because they're going to give you those gems that have the nuance and the really great representation.
Right.
But yeah, read diversely, enjoy yourself. Don't let anybody shame you for what you read. I know that's when I'm tabling, especially if it's a mixed event. So, all these different genres. And I'll say, do you read romance? That's how I open. And there's always that hesitancy and that shyness. And, no one, if you say, do you read political thrillers? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So say it with your chest.
Right.
It's billions of dollars.
Why is it fine to be like, I love thrillers, I love murder mysteries, like
but then but even when I put the book out, I was a little sheepish saying I wrote a romance novel. You know what I mean? So that evolution has to take place, and you have to decide. Again, like in everything else, as a woman, what your wants, desires, likes, and needs are important. They matter, and you have every right to own up to them. So, or take ownership of them, I should say.
Yeah.
Say it with your chest.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fuck, marry, kill.
Oh.
Any trope.
Ooh. Any trope? Okay, so wait, how do I do this?
You're fucking someone, you're marrying someone, you're killing someone off.
Oh. From a book? Or just in general?
A trope.
Oh, a trope.
So any trope.
Oh, okay. Woo, okay, I'm there. Give me a minute. I would kill friends to lovers, even though I wrote one. Because it just, okay, know what? I changed my mind. I would kill brother's best friend, because that drives me up a wall. I don't know why. It just does not float my boat.
Gasp.
I would marry secret baby. I know. Everyone loves to hate it, but there's that when those moments of connection, first of all, when he finds out, it's always like the best dramatic part. And then the moments of connection with the kid, like when they get to like the well-being of the kid, and so he sees how well she's taking care of the kid, and he's like digging the kid, and they start to come together. I just love it. And so that's Mary. And who would I just do? It's almost like, who wouldn't I? Let's see. I don't know. I'm stuck. I don't know. Give me some ideas.
Why choose? Enemies to lovers.
Oh, enemies to lovers.
I feel like that's a common fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the tension's there. Like,
right. And you're like sitting back, just do it.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. Just do it.
Yeah.
But I love it when they do go through with it and they still don't like each other.
Yeah.
Or they still have issues. It doesn't fix everything.
Right. I love a little like hate fuck.
Yes. Yeah. I put that in my Christmas book.
Especially because there's probably going to be a little like, let me rough you up
exactly,
a little bit. Like,
exactly.
I will eat that shit up.
Yes. So he was talking about like, basically he had been imagining this, just holding her down, doggy style. Okay, there until she just shut the hell up, because he was so sick of her and her shenanigans. They were doing like pranks on each other, and she had tore up like his house, all that. So yeah.
Sensational. Where can people find you online?
So I'm always on TikTok.
Okay.
I'm starting to like get back into Instagram.
What's your handle?
Threads. It's my name, Terreece, Terreece, and that's me everywhere. Okay. So, yeah, I'm all over the social, full of like freebie romances from friends and group promos and that sort of thing. So,
what's your website?
TerreeceClarke.com.
Nice. Thank you for coming and chatting with us, Terreece.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
You can follow us on Romance Unleashed Pod on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, all of the things. But also Apple Podcasts and YouTube and Spotify. Okay, bye.